Welcome back to Indie Housing Market. I'm Kyle.morris with FC Tucker and Morris Property Group.
I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group and FC Tucker.
And we have special guest.
I'm Chris Oukada with Real Broker.
The man with many vowels in his last name. I've known
and
Chris.
many faces and whatever.
He's all over the place.
You're so involved in everything.
He is.
That's why you're here. We wanted to hear about a lot of things, especially RPAC.
Yeah, awesome. I love kind of being involved. I've, kind of changed the way I do business. I am more involved in RPAC and my board and the divisions and in my local community, and I really can't see a path going back to not being involved. You can't, put the blinders back on once you've taken them off. So
it's always amazing to be a part of all those groups because we're involved in my board a lot too, and just what you learn in the background. I just don't think people have an idea of anything of what's going on.
There's so much to our industry. So I'm a Real graduate of the Real Estate Academy of Leadership. Shelly is. You are as well, right?
That's a
Shelly really pushed me to do it and some other people, and it changed my perspective forever on our industry. One of my team members is in it right now. I'm really trying to push my team to get involved in it because there's just so much to our industry that people don't know. It's so vast, I don't even know how you would kind of look into it until you kind of get kind of immersed into it, right?
One of the things, you guys having gone through Real can appreciate this. I think the last thing I thought I would ever be interested in is the grievance section.
Yeah.
And they made it like,
it's like this is where the Karens come, right? Yeah, but that's not what it is.
No, and I was kind of like, maybe one of these days I could see myself, serving on grievance. And literally the last thing. And I believe you went through with Maria Kanger as your liaison for my board.
Yes.
And I really appreciate that they really curate a schedule, not only a schedule but even like the locations. I'd never been to the Skyline Club before, or the Columbia Club. We went. I'd been to Madam Walker when I was younger, but I hadn't been back in like 25 years. I thought there were just so many cool locations of my city that
we went into the catacombs underneath.
I didn't get to do that.
What is it?
Underneath Illinois, and they do a what's it called, like a prohibition dinner. I think it's
in the catacombs. I've never done it.
I've never done it, but it's on my list of things to do here.
I'm always afraid I'll get trapped down there. Like the one time it collapses,
it's haunted
it'll be down there.
Yeah. Well, the one thing about Real is just to say what that is it is something you have to be nominated into and be accepted into, and only about 18 to 20 a year get to do it. So realtors out there, if you ever have anybody say you should do this or have never been told you, I'm telling you right now, apply. It's really life-changing in real estate, in my opinion, because you get to learn so much more that you can't see on your own.
And people write letters of recommendation. Feel free to reach out to any of the three of us. I just think it really matters to be a good steward of the industry, especially, I think over the years we've kind of gotten a bad reputation. A lot of it self-imposed, and I think like this really just helps raise the level of professionalism and understanding in our industry that it's way more than just selling houses. It's just so much more involved in that.
Well, and people need to know that it is. And there's a lot of realtors, I think, who get into the business that just think it's selling houses and, driving supposedly nice cars or, making money, which I don't like that attitude. But that's why
I'm still waiting to do either one.
I know. That's why I don't like that attitude.
When does that happen?
But the thing about it is that's what everybody thinks. But one of the things when I was in Real is I learned more about RPAC, and I think realtors really need to understand what RPAC is, because that's a whole situation that there's nothing in CE about it. There's nothing in the classes you take about becoming a realtor, but it's really important. So tell us why you got involved and what it is.
Sure. So I got involved in RPAC because of Real class. We did a class on government, and my mayor, Chris Jensen, came down to our class at Columbia Club.
I love Mayor Jensen, by the way. He's been on the podcast. I love Mayor Jensen.
I love that one. I want to get shirts made up for Sell Our Cities that say, "My mayor's funnier than your mayor."
Oh, I don't even live in Noblesville, and I'd wear it just for him.
But so he came and spoke. We actually did a mock candidate interview. And I thought that was really cool that we get to kind of listen to these people, running for city council, running for county commissioner, running for the mayoral races. but they have to speak to our issues, to the real estate issues. It's not a red or blue thing. It's a realtor party. So we talk about property tax. We talk about inspection. Like right now in Greenfield, they just batted down the forced inspection of the sewer to the street, and it was blowing up deals. But RPAC kind of said like, hey, we can't make that a thing that has to happen. That's an option, but the city can't dictate that what has to happen. Just having and this is my first year as a RPAC trustee. And this is kind of a light year. This is county commissioners, county council. I'll be very kind of vulnerable with you. I didn't know exactly what a county commissioner did or what the county council did.
But that's what's part of being involved is
Yeah.
learning all of that. And give the RPAC, what's it stand for?
Realtor Political Action Committee. And then I'm wearing my shirt today, and most of you probably know Zach Miller.
Yeah.
When he would
Yeah,
read the
Zach's a
RPAC
great guy.
updates, he would say RPAC did that. And so the shirt today says RPAC did that. So happy birthday, by the way, Zach.
Yeah, it is his birthday.
Today's his birthday.
Happy birthday, Zach Miller.
But yeah, so being at the table with people like Lacey Everett, Chris Pryor down at MyBor, they really, I very quickly learned like, hey, I'm going to ask the stupid questions because I didn't know what a county commissioner's job was. I didn't know all my town council people in Noblesville until more recently here. So, like I said, it's just like kind of what we were talking about before. It's like once you've gotten involved and attend city council meetings and things like that, it's hard to kind of go back and not be in the know. And I'll tell you, city council meetings for realtors out there, man, if you want to get on the ground floor of the development that's going on,
That's where it's at.
I was listening to the development at Finch Creek. It's over 2,000 permits being pulled for single family homes, townhomes right there north of Ruoff. I was listening to that 18 months ago when they were talking about
Whether they're going to do it or not.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So when I sat down, we did, when I was in Real, you get to go to economic development, right? And so one of the proposals that had been brought up for downtown Indianapolis was and this is while the construction was going on for 65 and 70 and the Spaghetti Bowl and everything, it was a massive headache for everybody. And we're like discussing this while this construction is going on.
Can I stop real quick?
Yeah.
Coming from Indianapolis and going to the Hoosier Dome and
The Hoosier Dome?
Yes,
The Hoosier Dome.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
4 or 5 times a week for practice and games and everything. I don't know where I'm at downtown. That way that it got all redone. I miss my exits now. That's a complete.
So Shelly,
totally.
there's this thing. It's called GPS.
I know, but I think I know what I'm
It'll
doing.
take you right
I
there.
did it thousands of times, but they really, really changed that.
Think how
about
much easier we have it. Remember when you used to have MapQuest sheets printed off, and
No,
you'd have to.
I drew maps.
You almost like hits. You drew maps.
I tell people.
Yes,
And
she drew maps to the lake house. I'm sorry, I had to chime in. My brothers ended up in Kentucky. Someone ended up
Lindsay
in Ohio.
ended up in Richmond.
Ohio and stuff. Luckily, by the time I was getting to
With no cell
driving,
phones?
I had GPS, but
Okay,
it was bad.
How do you end
AAA
up?
triptychs.
Yeah,
You had to go to
just
AAA
so
the day
much.
before a trip.
No, yeah, you get the big map.
Oh my gosh!
No,
man.
no,
When
no.
I was a
so sorry.
pharmaceutical sales rep out of college, I mean, I had the almanacs out, or not the almanacs, the
Atlas.
The Atlas. I had the Atlas out, and I had like the whole state, and I had to pre-map it out, and it was a nightmare. But I got to know a lot of the state that way. I mean, all the major roads, none of the smaller roads, the county roads, all that stuff I got to drive on. But
That's what the pocket behind the passenger side seat
Yeah,
was for.
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
maps.
yeah.
It's still there.
now it's for iPads, evidently, for your kids to.
I'm so
quit kicking
sorry
the
I
seat.
interrupted
You're
you.
good,
so
dude.
Go ahead. The Spaghetti
So-
Bowl downtown.
Yeah,
and
so
what the
we
development
learned
was.
about a proposal. I think it's 25 years out or something like that. Because I know there's a proposal for, I think it's the 2050 plan or something that I've always heard about, where Fortville Pike out by Greenfield is supposed to be a second loop of 465 or something like that. But all of that section from Lucas Oil is what we call it these days, in case you're
Well,
wondering.
it's a totally different building.
Yeah.
yes.
From Lucas Oil all the way up around the Spaghetti Bowl and then up to where IU Health is, to be buried underground. like Chicago is.
I've heard that.
Oh, wow.
And it would give us back 200 acres of downtown to be developed and all of that stuff. And that's 20 years down the road,
Sure.
and it's already being talked about now, right?
Well, just like what you were talking about, kind of the confusion of downtown, the red line and green line, those were, I know that Chris Pryor and Lacey Everett had seats at the table for those discussions. And right now, I think the huge thing in our market is they're discussing middle housing or, workforce housing, attainable housing, because that is a huge topic nationwide. There's
a shortage of it.
A huge shortage of it.
Yeah.
And as someone that lives in Noblesville, my fear is I have 3 kids. When they get out of college, I don't know that they can afford to live in Noblesville.
Every mayor we've had on here has had that conversation with us, and stating that that's what they want to work towards.
Sure.
Mayor Fadden has talked about it, and I think definitely Sue Finkham talked about it. She just said, those are the people who celebrate this town, are cheerleaders for these towns. They grow up here, and they move, and they can't come back.
Yeah,
and,
the children of the people who currently live here cannot come back to Carmel and live in Carmel because it's just too expensive, right? That was the big one that we talked about.
Even apartments.
Yeah, especially apartments. I can't fathom, if I was coming out of college. My apartment coming out of college was $700 a month, and I think I split it with 3 people.
Right.
Yeah,
our cable bill was like $13.11 a person. But that's the way I could scrounge up money for a CP Morgan $130,000 starter home. I can't imagine.
But minimum wage was also like $7.25 for us. Now it's like $15. But it hasn't grown proportionally.
Yeah, I can't imagine paying like $2,900 in rent. And then having to pull together,
utilities and everything
right.
else, food.
And save.
That's what I'm saying. And then pull together
And
a down payment.
Right.
I think there's going to be some major issues, and it'll be interesting with the next election. I don't want to get into politics, but if any of that will be addressed
Tonight?
for first-time home buyers. Oh, I'm sure there will be a whole bunch of ideas talked about tonight, none of which will be implemented for the record. But we just have this. We have created a barrier to first-time entry. We just really, really have.
Unless their parents have money to help them, and that's where you see a lot of that. But that's not most people.
Well,
I think first-time home buyers' parents are really having to step in, and we used to say for college. Now
Right.
are people? You guys still have kids that are going to be college age someday.
Right.
Are you saving for
gosh.
college and houses?
I can't move for 20 years with college coming up.
I look at new construction as the trend going forward, and I see so much new construction that's focused on adult children in the home, or or multi generational living in a home. Even neighborhoods that have townhomes, for grandma and grandpa, and the single family home in the same, neighborhood. So I think that
Whitestown has a massive D.R. Horton community that's like that, and it has everything from patio homes, shared wall patio homes to all the way up to like $5,000 to $6,000, $100,000 house, but with townhomes in between, and it's literally meant for you to phase up and phase down.
Right.
It's perfect.
Yeah. But that's what I see kind of as the future is we're going to have to, kids are going to have to live in the home longer, so that they can save money for a down payment. Maybe grandma and grandpa come into the house, because, that's how that's just how housing seems to be. The new construction seems to be focused towards.
Well, and there are cultures that do that.
Yeah.
That's what we've just as Americans. It's not been something we've really.
I see a lot of it these days, though. I really do.
I see a lot of people asking me. They're coming here to do that, combine families, and just to help everything.
I know I don't look at, but my father's Moroccan, so he's actually retired back to Morocco, and he lives, and it is, when I tell people this, people kind of give me the weird eye, is because he lives with my brother, with my aunt, with like 2 cousins. They live in like a 3-story like apartment, but one of the rooms in that apartment we call it like the gathering room. It would be like our family room here, but it's literally got couches made out of single mattresses all the way around the room, and the design is that's where you have your big dinner, and then that's where people stay, because you never put someone out, and that's that culture is just of course you're staying the night, you just had dinner until 11, and
what are we doing? Just hang out,
and I think that is leaching over into, as the melting pot, of America kind of happens, we are having more homes having to accommodate that cultural, of having, the whole family, live under one roof.
Well, I mean, and if you think, and this is a whole health insurance thing too, but, I've got family members in assisted living, and man, wait till you're dropping 12 G's
Right.
a month,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's, I mean, that's different. You got clinical care involved and stuff
Sure.
like that, but there's a whole in-between phase there before you need some kind of clinical care. And I see a lot of people moving in together. I mean, I've got neighbors who are doing that. I've got friends. I've got, a lot of people who are doing that. And then I see houses that are marketed as, in-law quarters, and like they're technically not. It's just there's a whole kind of parameters around that. It has to have its own separate entrance and all this other stuff.
Well, I was going to say, if you have a listing, and I do that too, if I have a listing that has the capacity for multi-generational or, something
I
like
put
that.
it in there, huh?
Oh,
Yeah.
market that.
Yeah.
You don't,
I just
you
sold
don't miss
one.
that. You
They
market
had,
that.
so it wasn't an in-laws quarters. I called it an in-law suite, right? Because it didn't have its separate entrance, but they had dual washer dryer, like everything, like it was ready to go for it. Had its own bathroom, everything like that. The only thing it didn't have, why I didn't call it a quarters, it didn't have its own kitchenette or anything like that, or its own entrance. But I see some of that stuff mismarketed. That is what it is. That's the grievance committee for you down the road. But I don't know. I just think when you talk about RPAC, there's a lot I found out about. They do campaign contributions. That's what it is.
Right.
People who support the things that our association kind of views as important to our industry. For example, is involved with when COVID happened, us being deemed essential, right?
Essential,
When I worked at the VA and I was a rating specialist, we were all like, when there would be government shutdowns, we were deemed essential because things still had to get done so veterans could still get their benefits. And I don't want to take a doctor is obviously more essential than a real estate agent. There are so many people who are more essential, but housing is essential. And
Right.
if you don't have housing and you need housing, because when COVID happened, maybe family did have to come move with you and you did need to purchase, that was very essential at that time. I'm not saying we're as essential as somebody who's out there saving lives and doing all these other things, clearing the roads, doing all this safety and protection and wellness. But shelter is a basic need, and it is essential, right? And so I don't want people to think that I'm trying to put this out a certain way, but without RPAC, that doesn't happen, which then did benefit people to. That's where I saw a lot of it start, was with COVID, with what you're
Right.
talking about,
Yeah.
is when families who had been separated realized what really mattered, and they started coming together and buying bigger houses to share a household.
I was sorry. The thing with my board too is I know when they're running for office, anybody, they go to my board and try to get them to,
So that's what we do.
back
Actually.
them.
You
And
interview
so
them.
we sit at the large boardroom there at my board, and the candidates come in, and typically we'll try to have both sides, or however many sides of that are running for that particular office come in that same day and plead their case and say, hey, this is what I'm about. This is what I'm going to do for my board. This is what I'm going to do for the realtors. And I was shocked at how many issues my board and RPAC were taking care of, unbeknownst to me, as I was
On your behalf.
on my behalf, when I'm just going out and trying to sell real estate. Once I kind of found out, I wanted to get involved. I wanted to kind of help steward, our profession. Sorry.
You're good.
I don't know if you guys feel this, but lately I feel like our industry's under attack, and
No, it's barely noticeable.
and so
Just another day.
another day. So I just feel like that. I need to try to get involved and help where I can.
So I donate. I need to donate more to RPAC. I'm on the Realtor Foundation Board of Directors, and so that has really opened my eyes. They help with homelessness and unhoused and all of that stuff. And honestly, it's hard because you're asking people for money and they don't fully understand it sometimes, because I don't think the message is clear enough of what is going on. That's why kind of one of the reasons we wanted to have you on there. Just a little bit to help donate. This is not a fundraising podcast by no means, but I think this stuff does matter. And so for the Realtor Foundation or for RPAC or whatever it may be, like that money is needed and does go to help to support you, whether you know it or not, and it absolutely matters.
Well, I know they just normally my board sends out something that only asks for $25. Like they just really ask a realtor to just $25, and if
Goes a long way.
10,000
There's
agents,
10,000, yeah.
you know.
And I'll tell you, so my you know, I'm not you know, one of the top agents. I'm not killing it by any stretch of the imagination. So committing to being a major investor for RPAC, it's a big ask for me. But I started with $25, and then it was the $50 threshold, and then it was the $100 threshold, and then, you know, on and on and on. But I will say that being a major investor, I can't believe some of the rewards that I've been able to do. I think, Shelly, that you were at the mayor's dinner in February. That was pretty amazing.
You were supposed to be there, right? You didn't
I
get
was.
to go.
Yeah, I was,
That
yeah.
was fabulous to be a part of.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, part of my investment goes towards doing the RPAC at the track event. So I mean, you know, this is a fun event. You know, just this weekend. On Sunday evening, we got to go listen to Kevin Brown, who's the first vice president of NAR. And he came and spoke to the major investors. So, yeah, there's you know, a lot of opportunity. You know, I've been able to go to several events. Actually, we sat together at
The economic development.
Economic
yeah,
development.
because I'm on that board with the
Yeah.
economic development. And all of these things are just as a help to us as real estate agents to really understand there's more to just selling houses.
Right.
And
There's a
there's
lot
so
more.
much more that we can help our clients with when we have these knowledge behind us that we're seeing what's coming, how it works, and how it plays together.
Well, long term, it impacts my clients. I mean, it
Yeah.
just absolutely does. It helps protect them. Like all
Yeah.
this stuff is built around helping
Yeah.
to protect. I'm just the in between here, you know. But all of the things that get done are to help the consumer.
Yeah.
You know, for me, like I need to donate more to RPAC. I do donate to it, but I've been slightly disheartened just on the Realtor Foundation that I don't see a lot of the top producers kind of donating the way I would like. They real estate has changed some people's lives forever, right? And to give back a little bit, I just don't think it's a major ask. And I do see people who maybe aren't selling as much actually donating more, and I'm like, this balance, it at least needs to be equal, in my opinion.
Sure.
Not to call anybody out by name, but I will if I need to. But
And
and then it'll go to the grievance committee, but whatever.
And I'll say that you know, I'm, like I said, I'm someone that you know, I can't write the big check, but we have the golf outing on Thursday, which, you know, I'm a volunteer for, and, you know, I've helped.
You can go help me find my ball out there.
Yeah, manpower is donation.
So when you're involved with anything, it's time, money, or resources.
Right.
There's one of those three you can always contribute, or skill. I think a resource is skill.
Or connections.
Same thing. Yeah.
But the Realtor Foundation is probably another whole thing we should probably talk to somebody on, because I just think
might know somebody.
but it's just things people don't know. Why? What do they do? And the Realtor Foundation, I mean, when you see the list of who they help
Yes,
on
it's
a
massive.
I mean,
And it's a drop in the bucket.
and the whole thing about that too is, and when I was involved in many other things, is I think maybe too they think not in my backyard. Yeah, it's in your backyard. I just hate to tell you, wherever you live, it's in your backyard. Realtor Foundation is helping. So, but RPAC, just the amount what those monies go towards is to, again, get us to be essential during
Right.
COVID, to be behind us as real estate agents when they see a political issue that may be something going against us or for us.
Well, and I was at the IAR Awards dinner last night, and I was talking to a buddy who's in another state, and he was saying, you know, people complain because you only know what you know, but like we have it so good compared to other states,
Right.
with like how everything is ran here, like our involvement with the state, how the state looks out to protect the consumer and real estate transactions and all of that, but not just that, like how everything is run behind the scenes.
Centralized forms alone.
Oh my gosh, yeah. St. Louis, when we were going through like our my board was changing just like their the BLC, right? Which for everybody out there, it's like how you look up houses, right? St. Louis has 4 of them.
Yeah.
Four
No.
in one city.
Yeah.
Now
And
don't
you
get me
have to
wrong,
be a
St. Louis
member?
is bigger, but
Do
still.
you have to be a member of all 4?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Now it's probably similar
still
to
need-
here, where like if like I'm a member of a secondary, I'm a member of RACI as well, right? So like it's a discounted rate to be a member of a second one,
Reciprocity,
right?
yeah.
But and so I'm sure it's
I
a
still
discounted
need
rate.
to say out loud, I wish we had a statewide one. Because you and we travel outside of it.
We were just talking about a Clinton listing. That's almost Illinois.
Yeah, Bloomington and all those, all of that going to and from would be nice, but that's a whole nother
Yeah, I
story.
mean, I've dealt with Warsaw. I just pinned a house in Louisville. I've done Brown County, Columbus. I've shown a
COVID
house in Evansville,
But
for goodness
COVID
sakes.
did this.
Yes,
But
100%.
COVID pushed us away, and that's one of the things where I was saying when we were having the BLC, Central, and then moving into different areas, north and south. When COVID happened and we were starting to move away to get to affordable housing, we were, needing to go to areas that were not any longer part of it.
And
that's a
to
whole
represent
nother-
a buyer correctly, like I have to go, hey, we need to go out and look here for what you were looking for. Right?
That's a whole nother
So-
story, yeah.
Do you think that agents, being MyBor agents, going out and reaching out into these more rural areas, is that going to expand MyBor's reach in the future?
I don't know if they can overlay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they can. I don't know if they will, because it will be political, in my opinion, and people don't want to step on each other's toes.
It's a money
and,
issue because somebody's going to lose money or somebody has
Yeah.
money.
Well,
I
more
don't know.
importantly,
I don't have a clue.
people will lose jobs, right? There are jobs supported by the smaller listing services and organizations, and I'm not here to take somebody's job by no means, but I would think you could have liaisons in certain areas that would still just pay, but I don't know. I'm not here to solve all those problems. But I just think it's
We digress again.
with technology. I just think it's coming. There's just no two ways around it. The consumer is so educated on other areas, and then this idea that a real estate agent can't be as well, I just think is a misnomer.
Or we have to go to the Z word or the R word to get information that we should have at hand.
Which is inaccurate.
Yeah.
But to me, it really comes down to it's fear, it's progress, it's change. Nobody likes that stuff. People are going to feel like they're going to be pushed aside, whatever it may be. But it's going to happen. It's going to come. And at the end of the day, like, everyone will be fine and everybody will learn to work together and it'll be just fine. Because there's also people who relocate to Indianapolis coming from a Warsaw or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And you have to send it down to me, right? Like, you don't, I'd love to sit here and be the person who says, like, oh, I know the area the best. If you're a good agent, you can find out.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you can do the research and you can find out. Like, that's just the reality. You can make the phone calls. You can do enough research. That's my personal opinion. I'm sure I'll get murdered for it.
No, I knew that was in my head that probably should go that direction a little bit to discuss it is, but do you know that area? You shouldn't be in that area. I've grown up in Indiana. I lived here.
I've lived here my
there.
whole life.
And I've traveled so much to these different places, spent time, had friends. I do know a lot of Indiana, a lot of it. And I would not go to a place I didn't really know, but like you said, I can probably figure it out. But I will always, in the end, take my buyers or
The
best
only
interest
place-
if I don't know what I'm talking about.
The only place I personally probably wouldn't go, because I do think it's such a different dynamic market, is the region.
I was going to say the region. Yeah, the region.
Yeah. That's just me personally.
Lake Michigan.
Because you got people who are looking there that may also be looking in Illinois. I'm not licensed in Illinois, so like, to me, like, those people are most likely dual licensed, a lot of them, and like, that makes sense to me. But
I selling lakes properties, I would definitely not want to sell Lake Michigan myself
Sure,
as well.
yeah.
That's a niche. So there's niches, but
And I'm not above. I like the idea of if like, say a lake property here, which that's a different animal than just selling straight
Yes,
up.
it is.
yeah, like, just to sell a lake property here, I mean, you have to know about lakes. Like, and if you've never sold on a lake, like, I mean.
But
The first time I even looked at
Yeah.
one, I didn't even know about, like, water depth,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this area dries out. And I was like, what?
well, and that's a whole thing because I sell in
And that was
Sweetwater.
on Morris, which I know,
Yeah.
right?
But
Now
yeah,
I do.
Sweetwater and Cordray is where
Yeah.
I sell,
Right.
and they are. It's a whole different world down there, and there's specific rules. And I know of some things that have happened because agents sold down there and didn't know all the rules or the covenants of the area,
But they could have found out
with
with research.
But my point is,
or asked the right question.
Yeah.
I would take that listing or that buyer and split it with an agent that does know lakes and in Sweetwater. And now I've got a firsthand look at an agent that knows that stuff, showing me that stuff. So I mean, if you're not continually educating yourself, and that's just it is. No one in this industry knows it all. I mean,
It's impossible.
Yeah, we were talking about some of the big hitters earlier, that have been around forever, and still they're having problems. So it's just.
Well, nobody should ever be embarrassed to ask a question or to ask for help.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I'll be the first to say that I'm usually not the smartest guy in the room, so I'll take all the help.
I was taught if you're the smartest guy in the room, you need to find a new room.
Get out of the room. Yeah.
Kyle, you always have a saying.
It's because it's been told to me, unfortunately. But you just got to learn. You just have to learn. And so that's one of the reasons why we do this stuff. I've had agents reach out to me about questions about the podcast. Like, keep doing it. Like, that's what we're here for. We're here to make our industry better. This isn't about me.
We had a question today that we think is a major turn. We've all three talked about the turn in the market, and the question you got today.
Yeah. So people don't know what's going on with the market. Days on market is high. People think things are wrong with their houses. I can pick apart any house and kind of tell you, but part of it is just the numbers and the expectations a little bit. So,
and knowing them.
Yeah. So like I'll just do Fishers real quick to kind of walk through that, right? So this past week in Fishers, because we were off last week because it was a holiday. I had between Tuesday to Tuesday, I had 40 go on the market. 30 of them are still active, right? So only 10 pinned it in a week, but I had 24 pinned. But our inventory is going up, right? That's a net gain in inventory, which is lovely, because about 3 weeks ago, we were still going down. So I have like 207 on the market there. And if you sell everything that kind of pinned it in the week, average days on market was like 28. But the median was 8. So that just really accounts for, and we kind of picked this up maybe 30 days ago. We started looking at this because the numbers, we weren't grabbing the numbers to fully include what the entire picture of the market was. Because if you don't sell in those first 30 days, so everything active right now, your average days on market is 57. And your
Fishers?
median is 40 in Fishers.
Yeah.
And then in Noblesville, so I had 41 go on the market. 31 of them are still active, so 10 pinned it there as well. 35 total. Your average days on market for the stuff that pinned it in the past week was 21 days. The median's 10. But of everything that's active, your average days on market, if you're active in Noblesville, 78. 78
That's the
days.
exact same number for Westfield.
43 is the median. Now, don't get me wrong. That's going to get pushed up by some outliers, right? We always know that. We try to take those into account and pull them out. I didn't, because we kind of wanted to layer this in at the last second, and I just forgot to take out the outliers. But
but we still do average and median, so we're still looking at average and median. So, but they're all going higher.
They are. But here's what's weird. Before you get into yours, because I was talking to Drew, right, who I want to have on here as well, who you work with. Man, I'm getting hammered with listings out of nowhere the past 3-4 weeks. I bet in total, like we were talking about it, I bet I picked up 10 listings in 2.5 weeks that are coming on the that are going to be coming on the market, and that's not even counting the ones that I have getting ready to go on the market in the next 2 weeks. I'm just getting hammered with listings, which is a really good thing. But how do you pull that apart? People are starting to make moves. Rates have gone down. Yeah. Rates are in the low 6s, right? Obviously, that's dependent on credit. I don't want to get into all that crap. But anyways, rates have gone down. The Fed is not that mortgage rates and the Fed are connected, but they're loosely tied, right? And so the Fed is going to drop their rates on the 15th. By the time we get to the 15th or whatever, mortgage rates have already trickled down. It's already baked in. So if you're trying to do it after the 15th, you can do it now, quite honestly, but whatever. Now is the best freaking time ever because it's a soft market. You can kind of hammer sellers because they panic because they've been sitting on the market for 20 days or 30 days, and they don't know, they haven't had the right expectation set up front that it may take 60 to 90, right? And you almost have to bake in a little bit of price adjustments in there sometimes, but it's a soft market, and I'm getting good deals for buyers with rates going down. And as these rates continue to go down, good luck in the spring. And rates will be down, and it's going to be a shit show again.
I feel like
that's my personal opinion.
The last 18 months has really thrown off that traditional season of selling that we always.
We don't have it anymore.
We talk about that.
Right?
No season.
Yeah.
No.
This feels like late spring. This feels
market,
like June.
Yeah.
But seeing the inventory go up too, we did. we did see a little bit of end of July, 1st of August with school. We always
Yeah,
are going
of
to
course.
see that.
Yeah,
So
died
this
down.
influx of listings has come after school started.
But so
but
when you're
goes
talking
along with
about
lower
what
rate.
Chris was saying, like May was down
Right.
pretty significantly
Yeah.
here. Like it was down for us pretty significantly. But like we are experiencing May numbers right now.
Right,
Like our team in particular.
spring.
And when I
It's
talk
like
to people,
spring.
it feels like spring, which is really, that is entirely new because listings are doing that, but buyers haven't like fully adjusted yet.
Right.
But I got people coming. I get to do second showings. Like I get concessions. I get stuff off list
See more
price.
than
Oh
one
my
house
gosh!
and
Like if you're a buyer
keep
right
looking.
now, like oh my gosh! Unless you go after the one house that gets like multiple offers, but
Yeah.
we'll say like 95% of the market isn't that right now. Dude, it's a great time to be a buyer.
To that point, and I'm pay you guys a compliment because I've been listening to the podcast, over the summer, and I've changed the way I do my numbers because of the way you do your numbers, and I've done that because man, it moves week to week to week, and you have
does.
to know. Otherwise, I think that's a huge problem right now. Is a lot of the real estate agents, the realtors, don't know what's coming and they don't know what to tell their clients, and now they're setting false expectations. And if you're not on top of your numbers, and I've always heard that my entire real estate career, but I did not know what I was specifically looking for necessarily until you guys kind of showed me that game plan of how to look at these numbers. So I love that you guys go through the numbers each week. And
I've gotten so much better
Right.
about the market. We've been doing this podcast for like 3 years now or something like that. But this one in particular a little bit less. But I've gotten way better because the market does pivot that quickly.
It does.
And it works for my buyers because I catch people flat-footed,
Yeah.
and so my buyers get
Yeah.
good deals. And then I also can set a better expectation with sellers. Although we missed the mark on one in July because it was right as it was pivoting,
Sure.
and I didn't have enough data to like call it. And we are like, no, we'll probably be 30, and we were like 60.
Yeah.
Like, oh crap, But
But we used to kind of tell them how the whole year was going to go. Oh, spring's going to
Yeah.
go. And now,
Should I list now or next spring?
Yeah. Now we have to
you
look
should
at this
list in the
information.
fall.
Right. I can't wait till I have this year-over-year data that I'm doing now. So yeah, I mean it's huge, and I know you're about to go into your numbers, but I love listening to this part of the podcast. So.
Well, thank you. And we do it too. We say this because if you don't want to run the numbers or you don't have time or you
Steal 'em.
don't really know,
Yeah.
this is what we're doing. We're giving them to you because we do say we think we feel something coming. So it'll be like we'll say that and then like 2 weeks from now, it sure was. Because it isn't instantaneous, except for I think this past 2 weeks has been kind of a feel of an instantaneous, but it's usually
It hasn't been long enough to
It's
quantify it yet.
But I feel
Yeah.
like you do have to do them because that's how I feel something coming too is when I'm doing it. If I'm just listening to you, like, yeah, I hear it, I get the data, but when I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, that's, I'm like,
Especially when you can look at the houses
and I
and
do
you're
it
like,
side
this
by
doesn't
side,
make
yeah.
sense. This is a really good house. Why
Yeah.
is this still on the market 21 days later? Right?
Yeah.
well, and we don't do every city either. So
Right, yeah, yeah.
we've
Yeah.
had many people say that they
We
wish
could.
we would.
It'd be a
but
5-hour
Yeah.
podcast.
Right. Which I love listening to. I do a couple markets that you guys do, but I don't do all of the markets. So yeah, I do hear those numbers while I look at my Noblesville market.
Well, it is good to just kind of know what's going around you. So in Carmel, I will say quickly that we had the FC Tucker all company meeting this morning, and it was really interesting just to hear this. So year over year, Hamilton County is up 3.6% in inventory right now. Hancock 3.3%. Hendricks 12.7% and Johnson 13.8%. So those two counties have really started to get more inventory than they've had. Marion County was basically even.
Well, Johnson County, you've got Center Grove that has just blown up like nobody's business. Southside Carmel down there. And then Hendricks County is kind of experiencing what Hancock County experienced the past 3-4 years with Greenfield and McCordsville because Danville has just become such a good place to live out
Danville's
there.
a suburb now. I can't believe it.
Yeah, dude.
I love Danville. I love going
I'm
to the
telling you,
Mayberry Cafe.
in 7 years, Anderson is a suburb of Indianapolis. There's no two ways around
Well, there's
it.
a lot of suburbs that have already started happening. COVID did that for us. So Carmel, 36 hit the market. Only 11 of those pended, and a total of 25 pended. So the past 7 days in Carmel, the average days on market was 27, and the median was 15. So we've gone up even in the past 7 days. Currently active in Carmel, we have 158. and those are sitting at an average of 74 days on market and a median of 35. So the active homes sitting right now, if you feel you're wondering what's going on and you're at 60 days, you're not even to average yet. So just be patient, but continue to pay attention to feedback and, do run your comps and see what's going on around you.
Showings are down. Have you noticed
Showings
that?
are down.
Showings are down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sold in Carmel 121, and the average days in the past 30 days was 22 and 6. So that median has gone up by half. And list to sale ratio has gone down to about 98.5%. So we are, like you said, buyers are getting some leeway here in pricing. Westfield, only 28 hit the market, only 9 of those pended. 28 pended, so we didn't get any inventory in Westfield. The average in the past 7 days was 31, and the median was 21, so we're starting to level out. Active in Westfield, 198. The average days on market for the ones all sitting right now, 78. Median's 46. So this gets to where we're talking setting expectations. You both said it. If you set expectations with your sellers up front, this is not going to be a quick sale. More than likely, we're looking at 78 days on average. So sold in the past 30 days, 141. List to sale ratio average is about 98% in Westfield. Past 30 days was 33 average and 13. So we're just going up on that median. That median's really starting to go up. Zionsville, 16 hit the market. Only 6 of those pended. A total of 8 pended. Zionsville's always different, but 9 average days on market, 4 median, past 7 days. There are 65 sitting on the market right now in Zionsville. The average days on market in Zionsville, 78, and the median, 47.
I sold mine in 12 hours in Zionsville.
Well, that's that median number, but average days are going way up. 39 sold in the past 30 days, and average list to sale ratio about 99.5. So the past 30 days, the average days on market was 41 and 25. So this past 7 days was a much quicker market, but the ones sitting are really high.
Because if you know the numbers, like you can go into a listing presentation, or you can handle your clients just much better, or like if you're not an agent and you're just a consumer, like you have a better idea of what you should expect. I had one that when I listed it like 2 months ago or something like that, probably longer than that, I predicted 90 days for us to be on the market. It was a very specific house, and it was out a ways, I'll just say that, and it was expensive for that area, and I knew I'd have to do a price adjustment. I waited a long time to do the first price adjustment. I did a second one that was pretty small, got us to where I thought we would be at. 80 days on market. I never had anything but one showing on that property, and that person wrote a list price offer for what I thought I would sell it for based off of the 90-day expectation when I sat down with them in the first place.
And nobody was freaking out. Sitting
at
the
table.
Well,
they were, because there's other agents in that area who didn't get used, and we're like, what's wrong with it? Because they didn't know. And they're like, you're overpriced. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, we're priced perfectly fine. This is exactly where so they were getting feedback from other agents, which they shouldn't have been, for the record, but whatever, I digress. Because they didn't know the market as well, and it literally performed better than it, like a little bit quicker, and got the number that I thought it would. When you know 90 days in advance.
When you know the numbers, you can come from a place of confidence.
Yeah.
And
because they're all freaking out. And
what we see is 7 days on market and a price drop. And I'm like, what
are we doing? Yeah.
They had a kids soccer game. They couldn't go to that.
It rained all weekend.
Right. Yeah. Or there was a holiday involved as well.
That's what we were kind of talking about before is, there was a time where this was 60 days, 70 days was an average days on market, before, the COVID period.
It would be 180.
Yeah, right.
I mean, and we talked about that, that built in on your listing contract of days on market if you haven't had enough sales or showings or offers, whatever. There was a whole formula, and it's time to do a price drop and have that in further conditions just built into the whole process that's going to take you half a year.
Yeah. I think we got to get away from freaking out so much about showings, man. Like, there's a butt for every seat.
Takes one.
Trust the numbers, not the showings, to a certain extent.
Exactly.
I see houses that do very well. It takes them 2 weeks to sell, which is quick in this market, and they get like 3 showings in 2 weeks. We just all got to kind of pump the brakes, quit panicking. When people panic, it's a disservice to your clients, first of all. Second of all, it hurts the market. It just does.
Well, just by knowing the numbers, again, my conversations right now with anybody I'm getting ready to list.
I tell
on the
people
town-
I have no idea. We just throw a dart at a board.
Right, yeah.
We
Well,
just pray about it.
the practice of 3 Ps, that's a whole nother thing. So I just, my conversation with my sellers now is we're probably looking at maybe 60 days,
Yeah.
depending on if the right buyer shows up immediately or not. But having those conversations up front, there shouldn't be any, expectations of what happened this weekend, we didn't get an offer, and or we haven't had 10 showings like their neighbor did. Because that's the whole
Right,
thing.
that's
They
it.
hear the media, they hear their neighbor, they hear everything like that. Well, that was time goes by faster than they think. It was like 6 months ago they may have that seller
Right.
did that. So just please trust that if we're sitting there in front of the seller, that we're trying to tell you what we see today.
That's the other thing is, the realtors out there, a vacuum gets filled. And if we don't tell the story, somebody else, the media, the neighbor, they come and they fill in the story. And if we're not out there giving the narrative, backed by these numbers, then it's going to get the story's going to get told by someone else that doesn't know, and that's where we're getting misinformation, and so yeah, we've got.
You know what I don't see a lot of
gotta do
now
the
that you're
job.
saying that? I haven't seen a lot of media articles about the housing market lately.
Right.
Probably because the media doesn't have a clue.
Well,
You know
probably
what I mean?
because they didn't get in trouble, but they got blasted when they threw out the Indiana's
August,
getting ready
yeah,
to do this August 17th, and everybody's like, we did that.
July
But
1st.
we did it July 1st.
But
kids.
okay,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
where you didn't obviously talk to my board,
Right.
Like, where'd you get your information? So
Yeah, I forgot about all that. That was like, it's just been busy. But I did have people hit me up like, what's this new law change? I was like, oh, you mean the one we did a month and a half ago?
Right. Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
well, it's so good to have you.
thank you.
sure
Dude,
we
one
get-
of my favorite humans in the industry. I get to see him out and about more than most people, so it makes me really happy.
Well, you're really involved, and we all appreciate that
Yeah,
because
no.
what you're doing is helping all realtors out there. As just you're like you said, if it's either your money or your time, it's all appreciated very much.
Yeah. No, thank you for having me on. And like I said, I'm thrilled to hear this one. I love listening to this podcast, so it'd be exciting to hear this one. So
Donate to RPAC if you're an
Yeah.
agent. I don't $100.
come out
$100.
come out to your division meetings too. I'm really involved with Hamco.
Man, that's a sore subject. That's hard though for me.
It's hard.
Yeah,
What's hard about it for you?
I'm just busy.
Well, yeah. I'm not saying
Yeah.
we're not taking attendance.
No, I know. I feel guilty for not going because I do know what you guys do, and I have come, but I don't come
Yeah,
as
you-
regular as I'd like to. But I've got just a bunch of other things.
There's
I
a
have to
lot
deal
of
with, but-
information given there
There's
as
so
well.
much.
So Hamco and Northside is my main ones
Yeah.
too, but there's
Yeah.
so many. I don't know how many divisions there are. There's
Yeah,
multiple.
I believe it. Yeah, I think
Eight?
it's 12.
12?
I think it's I think
There's one for you. There's one for
Right,
your
yeah.
area, one for you, and those division
I should probably
chairs
know
and the
that
people.
number.
But the people in those divisions, the people that are running those and setting up those meetings, they are going way above and beyond to find the information you need to hear. I always come away with some great information.
And one of the biggest things for me is the networking that goes on there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's where we met, but most of the people in this industry I've met through these division meetings.
That's where we met.
You do need to know who you're working with
Yeah.
because when that name comes across the
Oh.
email, you're like, oh, it's Joe. I
Yeah,
love
I
talking
can
to
work with-
Joe.
I can
You
work
know,
with Joe, yeah,
And when you've got somebody who's maybe been in the market or been in the business for 5 years and the name comes across, you don't know. I'm like, who's that? And that's it's good to be out there and get
Yeah.
to know your fellow realtors as well.
I've told. It's been a couple of years now, but I mean, I think I told you. I've told Mary, who's involved, is my friend. Steve, who's involved, is my friend. Sanders, obviously, who's my buddy. I'm like, I'm just gonna have to get involved because that's if I'm gonna be committed to it, like I just need to be involved, and then
You heard it here.
Oh, dude, they all know it. They all know it. They all know it. man.
I'm gonna be calling you. I'll pick you up for the next one, and you're gonna get in my car.
I'll be on Hamco. You get to be on Northside.
I go to both.
Yeah,
no,
no.
I didn't say go to.
Be on.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a whole
Yeah.
nother conversation.
Oh, see.
No, I would like to be. I would like to be. I just haven't thrown my name in the hat. Oh,
Yeah.
so no.
So
Oops.
so
This content will be edited.
So Mary Duvall, who's
Yeah,
this
yeah.
year's chair, I know that I did not know her outside of Hamco, and I'm going to be next year's chair for Hamco.
Yeah.
Are you?
And I mean, so
Oh my
just
goodness.
working with her closely, like to kind of pass the baton, like, you know, we have so much kind of in common with the way we want to serve and things like that. Katie Malott, you know, Zach Miller,
All great people.
Yeah, I mean, this whole, you know,
All
lineage
real.
of people that it's a great network to know. You know, we were talking about agents that when I got started, it was agents at these division meetings that showed me the grace of, hey, you know, hey kid, you know, that's not the way you want to fill that out. You know?
That's what I was going to say.
Don't give me a form with blank HOA.
Right.
You know?
Right. But,
NA.
but, yeah,
NA.
but the networking part of that is exactly
Yeah.
that. Pick up the phone and call Zach and go, Zach, I have a question for you. I know you
Yep.
have been in the business for a while,
Yeah.
and can I ask you a question? And I will tell you, probably 98% of any realtor you
Yeah.
reach out
Will
to,
help teach you.
Yeah.
they will answer
Unless
that
it's in a
question.
direct contract with you. Unless I'm negotiating.
Wait a minute, you're doing 123 Main Street. So am I.
Yeah.
Jim Wilson is one of my mentors.
Jim's awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I love Jim. His advice, this is one of the greatest advice that I can give any new realtor, is for the price of a cup of coffee, go out and find a realtor that you admire, that works in your area, that does something that you want to do. Buy them a cup of coffee. I don't know of anybody in our industry that would just say no. Like,
No.
you know,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I mean, obviously you might have to work with some schedules, but like that's the greatest, you know, investment you can make in your business is go out and talk to other realtors that are doing it. And I love that advice. I think that's you know.
Yeah.
Shoot,
And
that's
I-
why we tried to do this.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I
part
mean?
of this whole podcast,
Yeah.
and I enjoy when somebody calls and asks me a question if I think I can help, because that's part of what I like to
Yeah.
do. My servant part is to help other realtors that maybe I've got some information that they need that I could help with.
Shoot,
I'd like
I'm
to
not
do
here
it.
today without you. You know what I mean? Like it's people who had that grace. You know what I mean?
right,
to
yeah.
teach me.
I
But
said
I'll
this
also
before.
say,
Michelle Shepard was my girl on one of my first ones, and she's like, Shelly, let me help you here. But she was like, we all know, you look at the MyBoard number when you get the offer.
but it takes the willingness of the new agent, and
Right.
like
Right.
as somebody who's been that new agent, it's scary.
It is.
You know what I mean?
It
It's
is.
like, hey, I'm new. You
Yeah.
know I'm new, and I'm just gonna verify I don't know anything.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We don't want to appear like
Weak.
we don't know.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is all BS, but
Yeah.
whatever. I get it.
All right. Well,
glad you
I
came
know
on,
we've-
bud.
Yeah, thank
we
you. I
really
appreciate it.
appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
You have a lot of faces. That's really awesome that you do so much.
And vowels.
Yeah, vowels and
most
faces.
Yeah.
most vowels in the
Yeah.
in the real
Chris's
estate
last
game.
name is how you spell it?
Oukada. Oukada. So,
Well, anyway, thanks so much for joining us. I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group and FC Tucker. You can reach me anytime at 317-201-2601.
And I'm Kyle Morris with FC Tucker and Morris Property Group, and my number is 317-649-5122.
and I'm Chris Oukada with Real Broker, and my number is 317-513-0341.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. Please reach out to us if you have any questions or would like to be on the podcast.